Hello and good evening. My name is Sati Gossett. Welcome to another episode of Pan and Zoom, the show where filmmakers talk about filmmaking. Today we're talking to the multi-hyphenated acting, writing, directing, philanthropic, a woman of the people, Nicky Micheaux.
Thank you. I like that.
Awesome. Thank you for coming to the show.
Yes.
You're very busy. You got a lot of wonderful things happening.
Yes. Yeah.
And what we like to lead off with is like every artist kind of has their aha moment where they wanted to be into the arts, wanted to get into acting. What was your moment?
Oh yes. I remember I was in college and I took an acting class to get an easy A because I was a pre-med major. So I was just taking acting just to fill up an elective and get an A and be done. I did my first monologue and it was like the world dropped out. And that was it for me. I was high the rest of the day, and I was always on stage, in plays. I just never looked back. I remember that. It was phenomenal. It's a phenomenal moment.
Awesome. What college was it?
University of Colorado at Boulder.
Oh, wow. Awesome. Do you remember your teacher?
I remember all my teachers. Well, I remember Lee Potts specifically. She was amazing. Yeah.
Awesome. Now, was there did you have certain films or TV shows that you liked that you said, oh, I want to be like this person, that person, so on?
Oh, at the time, it's funny because when I was growing up, or whenever LA Law was on, I thought I wanted to be a lawyer for a while. And then when I got out here, I realized I just wanted to be on LA Law. Like I didn't actually want to be a lawyer. So like who was I looking at in terms of careers?
Yeah,
I think Jodie Foster.
Okay.
Jodie Foster for sure. Because at that time, not only acting, directing, so well respected, just able to do really anything, that she wanted to do, So early on, something like that, yeah, for sure.
That's awesome. So you came to LA from
Colorado.
And okay, what do I do? Do I have friends? Do I have contacts?
Oh, you want that story?
Yeah, we want that story. We want that story.
Okay, so I came with like a handful of my college friends. A couple were actors. Some people just didn't know what to do, but they were going to be in LA. A friend of mine worked at New Line. My very good friend worked at New Line Cinema, I think in marketing or something. But it was literally like, okay, the headshots from Denver weren't going to work.
Right.
You need new headshots. I remember getting together with my friend who looked like Michelle Pfeiffer. Like, what do I do? And she's trying to explain to me headshots. And I was like, okay. And I had no car. So I took the bus everywhere in LA. Yes, I was committed.
That is commitment.
I was committed. And I lived by the beach because that was like for my sanity, and I had no money. And so you could go to the beach for free. That's why it was all strategic. It was just like, you can go to the beach with a bottle of water and some strawberries and you feel really rich.
Yes.
And then you get on the bus for an hour and a half and go to Hollywood for your little audition or whatever, or meet an agent. So yeah, it was crazy. Like just getting started, like just the big scope of LA and trying to figure out how do I get an agent. And I was cold calling agents. Like I got the list from SAG and I would cold call. And
what was it? The Hollywood Creative Directory.
Yes.
That was the book. It was like that, the Hollywood phone book.
Oh my God. Yeah, that. Yeah. So I got hung up on by a lot of people.
As you do.
It was great. And then some people said yes. And so I would mail my headshot. Remember that? Like you would mail the 8x10
yes.
in the mail, like big manila envelope.
Samuel French.
Yeah, Samuel French, the bookstore. And actually I kind of missed that because you could meet people.
Yeah.
Actually, isn't Samuel French still there though?
Not the one on Sunset, I think, or somewhere else. But I
the
still
one
have,
over by CVS Radford still there?
That one's still there. I still have the plays from acting class, from Aaron Spicer's acting class.
I have every play. I have so many plays.
And I look through them and they're all highlighted.
They're highlighted and so much in the margins.
Notes and stuff.
Yeah, no. I have like tons of plays, like so many plays.
So coming from Colorado,
Yeah.
you took acting classes here in Los Angeles.
I did.
Did you find a difference in aesthetics as far as how they taught you to act?
Well, I guess because, we were training for stage, and so here was more of these little short scenes. And it was a big transition for me because I really loved being on stage. I loved how the world would you could lose yourself in the character and lose yourself in the world. But when you're on set and you had everybody there and the cameras, it was to be able to really shut it out those were like little pockets of magic, you know. So I was always chasing, you know, that little pocket where you could just, where you and the scene partner and whatever could just like really lock in. You know, I can actually count the times that that's happened. It's really, really magical. But it took some time. But by the time I got, you know, really in the flow of working, it just became, you see it, but you don't see it.
Yeah, I mean, it's like life.
Yeah.
You don't see life, it just happens.
Yeah.
And when you do good acting, it just happens.
Yeah. So it took some time. But so I guess, how is the training different? I mean, I don't know. It's totally different. You go from, you know, doing stuff. Also, you do a lot of like, you know, vocal work and body work and all that really hardcore training stuff. Whereas when you just come to a scene study class, it's pretty straightforward, you know.
So do you remember that first moment when you booked your quote unquote first big job? You remember what it was?
Well, I don't remember
because everyone has like their first big job.
I remember the job, but I don't like remember like the phone call, like. But I remember the job.
Like the experience of walking on the set. And it's like, okay, these are the big boys. Do you remember that?
I think I have to say my big job was the live episode of ER.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was because that was the job. First of all, it was the live episode of ER. And I think I had auditioned for ER like 6 times. You know, I was always going up to was it John Levy's office, auditioning all the time, never getting it. Finally,
but they remembered you.
All the time. Well, I mean, I was in rotation, basically.
Right.
And then by the time I booked it, and it was the live episode, and it was such a to-do. So we had 2 weeks of rehearsal. It was awesome because it was like doing a one-act play. It was 45 minutes, and there was so much happening. And I think I came in the last 10 minutes, and my husband in the episode was Jesse from All My Children.
Wow.
So I was so happy because I grew up. Angie and Jesse, and I was like, man, I'm so excited to be your wife. This is so great. So that was my big break because I think like 45 or 55 million people watched it. And so
I watched it.
So the next day, my agent's phone was blowing up. And then I booked NYPD Blue. And so I started doing all the Botchko TV show and like literally just never stopped working.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That you're able to kind of create this body within the TV world.
Yeah.
So from job to job, you know, what do you retain as far as your character work? What do you pick up from other actors? What don't you pick up? You know, because, you know, you get a little better with each job.
I don't know. I mean, I've studied like all the different methods. Like I did Meisner, Stanislavski. I've done so many different techniques. And it's just, I like being able to switch it up depending on what the role requires or what the work environment is like and what will serve me best because they're all tools.
Right. I watched Low Life.
Did you watch Low Life?
Holy Toledo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm late to the party because I remember seeing.
You just watched Low Life?
Well, I mean,
wow.
Like I said, I'm late to the party. I
Very.
apologize.
No,
and I
that's
remember
all right.
seeing the trailer. I said, "Well,
Yeah.
wow, that looks dope."
Yeah,
And then, but then said, "Well, let me watch it." You know,
Yeah, Low
for
Life.
Nicky's sake. And I'm like, Low Life is a thing.
No, Low Life is a movie.
It's a thing. It's a mood.
It's a thing. It's so great.
It's
so
crazy.
great.
It's like, you know,
Yeah.
it's got these elements of Pulp Fiction, and then
Yeah.
there's just kind of this viscosity and visceral nature to it,
Yeah.
and all these
So dope.
elements to it. And, you know, and your character was kind of the anchor of the whole piece.
Yes.
You know, and
They
you know,
actually, I think they wrote it for me. I was the first character, and I think they built out around me. I was, I can't remember, but I think so because I was on board really early in the process. It was fun. I mean, Ryan and I worked together on his AFI thesis.
okay.
So that's because we did Narco Corrido together, and so I have been in that little crew, and I just love it. I love working with those guys. It was a small but mighty crew. So they would we were in this sleazy hotel that has since been shut down. And that's where we were shooting all my motel stuff. And they did the actor into that head blown off thing, you know, so it was,
No, the makeup was like really good.
no, they were excellent.
Like from the beginning when he cut the lady up and all this stuff. I'm like, oh wow, they're setting the tone for this.
It's a very bloody movie.
Yeah. So, but fun.
Oh, really fun.
It was really fun.
Yeah. Yeah, we had to come back and reshoot because they needed more blood on me when I was cutting the guy's throat. And I remember the thing Ryan told me. He's like, yeah, you know how in movies you cut the throat? He goes, yeah, you can't do that. You got to saw the throat because you can't just cut somebody's throat. Have you ever tried to cut somebody's throat? And I was like, no, Ryan.
No,
no, Ryan, I
couldn't.
haven't.
Don't think I did. No.
But okay, I got it. Saw
Right.
the throat, and there was blood everywhere. It was so gross.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was fun.
That was fun, and it was
really
fun watching it. And even though it was what it was, you could tell everyone had fun doing
We
it.
had a great time.
And I recognized a lot of faces in there that I've known in the past too, which was
Oh,
cool.
yeah.
Like Jernest Out.
Who coincidentally, the DP of Low Life is DP in my movie.
See? I mean, and that lends to just the community feeling of filmmaking. You know, you
Yes.
work with who you know,
Yes.
and if you do good work, you work with them again.
I was so excited to have someone that I knew, and we had been in trenches before, because Low Life was one of those kind of movies.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was a hard movie to do, and we were used to working in sort of like with less and in close quarters and running and gunning,
Mm-hmm.
and so coming in to do this independent movie, I wanted someone who we had been in there together, so we could be back in the
Trenches.
together, and
Yeah.
it was fantastic, because this movie was a lot. It was
Yeah.
a lot.
Well, let's backtrack. You know, because
Yeah.
you wrote this too,
I did.
and you know, I watched the trailer.
Thank you.
Yes, see, I do research.
Yes,
See?
yes.
The
Oh,
guy does research.
He watched a whole
I
90
watched the
second
whole
trailer.
90-second
Whole
trailer.
90
That's
second
all I had. I looked for the bootleg on the torrent sites. Allegedly, it wasn't there.
Wait a minute.
Wait, what'd I say?
Did you just say the bootleg on the porn site?
The torrent sites. He knows.
Okay.
I don't look at that stuff.
I'm sorry, I hit you wrong. It's my dirty mind. Sorry.
It's okay.
It's
That's
okay.
all right. Yeah, we're gonna launder the thoughts. They're gonna come out clean. You know, launder the thoughts. So, you wrote this piece, and I
did.
saw. I couldn't help notice based on personal events or real events.
Inspired by true events.
So, what was that inspiration?
Well, 1993, I was staying in Denver. I had where was I? I was in between summers at school, and I didn't want to go home, so I stayed in Denver, and I kind of ended up in a bad situation.
Okay.
Let's just say I had nowhere to go,
Happens.
and I didn't want to go home, so I ended up staying with some folks
Mm-hmm.
on Capitol Hill. So, but Capitol Hill and Five Points was the area where all the gang activity was happening. And this was the summer of violence. So there was a really huge wave of murders going on. Like literally like across the street, over the block.
Did this make national news?
Well, it did at the time. I mean, because it was the precursor for the crime bill, the 1994 crime bill.
Oh.
So Mayor Webb of Denver actually was on like whatever, the task force with Bill Clinton to do the crime bill. But living in it, right? So it was pretty crazy at the time because, well, one, you know, I wanted the movie to have an outsider's point of view because I wanted people to, a lot of times we go, that happens over there. And I really wanted people to kind of see themselves in it.
Yeah.
You know, like kind of that every man story or every woman story. And also to kind of highlight how when there's so much violence going on, how it impacts everyone around it. Like it's not just about the people who are losing their lives, it's people who have to live with it. And what? You look like you want to say something.
Well, I'm waiting for you to finish.
I'm not going to finish. I
You're
have
not
so
gonna
much
finish?
to say, but go ahead.
Okay.
I'll let you jump in.
Let me
It's
jump
your
in?
show.
I'm gonna
It's
jump
your
in.
show.
So, is there a desensitization to the violence? People become desensitized?
No,
to
not in
it?
this particular case. No, not in this particular case at all. What happened in Denver was everyone was going a little crazy because in terms of, it was really intense. It was on the news all the time. The newspaper gave it the name, the Summer of Violence. And people were really, you know, nervous because the violence was not contained. You know, normally I think that,
They just kind of let it go?
I don't know what they did was started prosecuting 12-year-olds as adults.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's what happened. Then you end up with the 3 strikes law. That's what happened.
Wow.
Then you end up with like how X amount of black people in prison over the next so many years. That's what they did.
Well, I just learned something. So, the 3 strikes was in Colorado, too?
I don't know.
Because I know it's in California,
but it was in California. But what I'm saying is that this time period
Mhm.
was where these things started. This was the reaction to. And the point of the film is to talk about, so you've got violence in the community, right? Then you have the state response to that violence, which is cracking down on anybody.
Mhm.
You know, there is no sort of like innocent victim here. Like there's no due process. There's not necessarily, you know what I'm saying? People are being, you know, harassed or abused. So all this was just a sort of a pot of mess. And the movie's not about that. That's the background. It's about a young woman trying to live her life, pursue her poetry, and prove to her controlling father that she can do this. But this is the backdrop of it because I wanted to talk about it because right now we have like so much random violence where people are having to come of age, but you don't know if your school's going to get shot up.
Right.
or the mall or Walmart. And it has an impact on your soul, your spirit. And that's really what I tried to capture in the film, as I told the story of this young woman, trying to find herself.
Okay. So how much of this young woman was in you?
Nothing.
Nothing?
Not at all.
Nothing? Come on, man. You gotta do that to me.
I mean, I'm sure there's a little bit of me.
Oh. Well, every piece of art has.
I mean, yes, absolutely. Every piece of art, every character I play, really every character that's in the film has got pieces of me in them. Like it's like, oh, this part of my personality will go over there. I think there's some of that, but mostly it was just a girl with a dream of being an artist, and I made her a poet because I wrote poetry back in those days.
See?
They're all my poems. I wrote all the poems, yeah.
So, next question. How much of your acting experience helped you with your writing experience?
Oh, tons. Because I just...
How so?
Well, mainly because I'm able to... But I think all writers can do this. I mean, I just play it out in my head. But of course, writing for me is two parts. There's the breaking and the breaking down, the breaking of the story, the structure, figuring out the map, so to speak, and then once I get down to writing the scenes, just letting it play. Kind of just like, oh, I'm just trying to capture this movie that's playing in my head. Hold on, wait, can you go back? Like literally, it's playing so fast in my head because if I've done a good job, kind of breaking the story. So how does it help me? I think it really helps me once I'm done with it, and then I'm able to look at it and go, oh, this is terrible. Because I can put my actor hat back on and then try to play the scene, and then I see all the problems.
Of course, yeah. And so just to take it a step further, once you've written it, directing it, those two elements, so it's all kind of like a combination thing where one thing informs the other. How did it help you as a director?
How did acting help? Well,
acting helping writing, and then writing helping your directing, and all of it just kind of this accumulation of.
Well, I don't know how they all kind of help. They just, I couldn't really.
And working on all these different TV sets.
Well, because I'm really comfortable on set, and I was really comfortable making the movie. I was really comfortable telling the story. I think I've directed plays, so I was really comfortable with breaking things down. The tricky part was that some scenes that I had written, didn't all, like one scene I didn't particularly like anymore, and I wanted to be able to, I didn't have enough time to really rewrite it, because what happened was I was forced into these constraints by locations and money and time, and so I had to kind of juxtapose some things, smash some things together. That was hard. It was really hard because I couldn't go and sit and be in my moment and really do the scene. I had to sit over in the corner of the set and work it out. To make it work for what we were able to do. That was tricky.
Where did you guys shoot?
We shot in Los Angeles, and we shot in Colorado.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I find directing is, you're basically solving 1,000 problems a minute.
Yes.
You're just like,
yeah.
And your ability to do that kind of helps dictate the tenor of the set.
Yeah, I feel like my brain runs at a high speed. And then when I got to directing, it was like life caught up with my brain. So I felt really okay, cool, this is good. This is good, I can do this. Problem is, once it was over, my brain's still going at that high speed.
You definitely need to I don't know, detox or come down or downshift.
Downshifting was really hard.
But that could be said the same thing for acting too. When you come out of a role,
absolutely. Oh my God, all the
time.
time.
Or even writing. You're deep into that world, and also you got to.
I don't have it so much with writing, but definitely with acting. When you do when I do a killer movie, like I did this movie Rain, and I played this Bahamian woman who was drug dealer. No, she wasn't drug dealer. She was a drug addict, and all these problems. When I came out of that film, it was like a whole come down.
Was that Maria?
Yeah, it was Maria's movie.
I saw that.
Yes.
I did see that.
Yes, it was excellent.
That was very cool.
Yeah.
See, look, we're supporting each other. And so post-production was great?
Post-production was really great.
Okay, good.
Really great. Yeah, that was fun. Editing was so great. Editing was just wonderful. I love it.
Awesome.
And the score, We got Marcus Norris to do the score, who had scored some stuff for Beyonce. So I was so excited to get him. The score is really beautiful. Everything about just putting all the pieces together to make the film is just really amazing.
Yeah, well, I congratulate you for getting to the finish line. And
Yes.
what was that moment like at ABFF where you see
Oh
it
my
on the
God.
big screen?
It
Describe
was-
that feeling.
It was, well, first of all, okay, I'll just admit I'm a total like freak, so I'm sitting there just like, I'm just like trying to disappear, as the film's on, like and I'm listening to everything like, oh, nobody laughed. God, it was funny. It was funny before. I know. And I'm literally like, just like watching it. And then all of a sudden, at a certain point, I sort of talked to myself, like, stop freaking out, try to enjoy this moment. And I'm watching the movie like I've done a million times.
Mm-hmm.
And then I notice how quiet they are and how engaged they are. And then by the time we got to the end, everybody was doing, the snaps with, for the poetry, like everyone in the audience did it. And I was like, oh my God, we got them. And the emotions afterwards, I mean, it was just really, really phenomenal to move people, to have them moved by really a very simple story of a father and a daughter. And I just was so thrilled.
That's fantastic.
It was exciting. I can't wait for more people to see it.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it. What's next for it? What's the path?
The next step is we have our Los Angeles premiere at the DTLA Film Festival. And then ideally we will be in theaters right after that.
Okay.
Ideally, we're still working
Ideally,
on it.
okay.
Ideally, yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Yes.
Snap,
Finger
snap, snap,
crossed,
snap,
snapping,
snap.
snapping, yes.
Awesome. So usually when we get near the end,
Mhm.
we want our guests to talk about any words of advice that you may have for
Yeah.
a young Nicky coming off the bus.
Oh, yeah.
What would you do? Hindsight advice,
Young Nicky should make that movie right off the bat.
right? Okay.
Yeah. Young Nicky waited. She waited until she thought it was right.
Okay.
And then time gets away from you. No, I would say, that idea that you have, that big idea, that big scary idea,
Mhm.
you should do it. You should do it. I don't think that there's people will say, oh, you should, start here and then do this and do that and kind of graduate to this, whatever this big thing is, like let's say filmmaking. And my advice would be, no, do the big thing.
Do the big thing that you're scared
Yeah.
of. No,
do the big thing right off the bat.
that's great advice.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're allowed to talk about it, but are we allowed to talk about the strike or anything like that? Or
Well, why wouldn't we be allowed to talk about it?
I have no idea. 'Cause
Is there
it's a weird
the
thing.
strike police are here, but I'm actually here as a director.
Director,
who
which
are
is true.
not-
Their
who are
deal
not
is
on
already
strike,
settled,
so
allegedly. Yes.
Therefore,
But
let's talk away.
what's your feelings about this whole process? What's going on?
Well, I mean, you
And
mean
what's your hope? I mean,
my hope is that we come up with some way to get streaming residuals on streaming,
mhm.
like real residuals on streaming, and then my hope is that we also adequately deal with AI so we can keep humans employed.
Mhm.
It's a fancy idea.
It
you
is.
so the humans might be able to keep working and buy the products.
No, it's true.
Yeah.
It's very true.
I mean, because they'll replace us all
And they want to,
if they could.
because AI doesn't need 401k. They don't need benefits. They don't need sick leave.
They don't need studios either.
They don't need vacation.
Yeah.
They can't be Me Too'd. Allegedly.
Maybe. We'll see.
Maybe.
We'll see. We'll see.
We'll
I
see.
don't know. But no, I'm excited that it looks like they're going back to talking.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm excited that maybe it won't last, through the fall. So
Yeah, they say maybe October. Maybe
well, but they're
for
already
the
going
break.
back to the table. So
So we'll see.
So we'll see. So I'm hopeful, but I'm glad that there's so much solidarity between the unions. I mean, we need to stick together
Mhm.
because there's no reason why a young actor today can't make the living that I did. And I'm gonna tell you, it is hard right now to make a living because of especially with all that streaming and the lack of residuals there. Because everything I did was almost network television,
Mm-hmm.
network cable television. Residuals, I get, dollars here, dollars there.
Oh, you're getting those nickel checks.
I get nickel checks, 1 penny checks, but I also get big checks.
You take those to Coinstar, and then you can, the little Coinstar machine in the supermarket.
No, but it's a check.
Yeah, that's true.
That is not the same. It's
It's
not
not the
my
same?
piggy bank. It is not my piggy bank. It is a check. You can't take that to Coinstar.
Well, you have like 100. You have like 100 checks of like
You want me to
nickels
cash
and
my
dimes.
nickel
and-
check? No, I've done really well. I mean, I'm not. I've lived off my residuals for years. So I mean, I've done really, really well. I've been able to only act, but it's harder and harder to do that.
Yeah, because it's not only the actors; it's everyone in the middle.
Yes,
Grips, gaffers, caterers, extras, craft service.
it's a big,
You know,
big.
they have
thing.
mortgages and student loans and all that stuff.
All that stuff.
So hopefully they'll come to an agreement.
I hope so.
Yeah. And
So what do you think about that stuff?
I'm in agreement with you. I mean, because clearly the big guys are taking advantage of the gap between the last agreement and this one coming up.
Yeah.
And they're making money hand over fist. And it's like, well, there's nothing in there.
Dude, have you seen the chart with how much money they're making and the percentage of profit that our little agreement would cost them? It's like 0.06 or something.
Yeah, but not only that, but if they're making that much, how much are the actual owners of the companies making?
I don't know.
You know, it's like Tom Cruise, yeah, sure he gets paid $20 million, but how much is Paramount Studio making off of him? Well,
Okay.
I thank you for coming on the show.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
This has been a pleasure. It's been illuminating.
Oh, has it?
And it has.
Oh my.
Can't you?
That's a
didn't
big
you
world.
feel the glow?
I didn't know that. So you had an aha moment. Okay.
I did.
Okay.
I had an aha moment.
What was your aha moment? I'm going to quiz you.
I'm going to let you know right after the show ends.
Okay.
But I have two words, and we can't forget it. Nina Simone. I haven't given up, and neither have you. Okay.
It would be fun.
It would be.
It would be.
It's
really,
not
really
lost.
fun.
I haven't forgotten.
It would be fun.
Okay. So, with that being said, this has been an episode of Pan and Zoom. I'm your host, Sati Gossett. Thank you again, and keep your cameras rolling. Good night.